Hi folks, welcome back. Thank you for watching. Please do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. That would be awesome. Today guys, I have a deceivingly simple pedal from one of my favourite pickup manufacturers. Now if you watch my channel a lot, you'll have seen that I'm always swapping pickups in and out of guitars, and easily my favourite pickup manufacturer of boutique, hand-wound, amazing high-end pickups is Matt Gleeson of Monty's Guitars in London. His PAF replicas are just unrivaled and his other pickups are outstanding too. This telly has one of his retro wind bridge pickups in, and it's the only telly bridge pickup you will ever need. It is stunning. But Matt also makes a pedal, and here it is. This is the Monty's Guitars More pedal. Now, in principle, this is just a 2-channel boost. It has a JFET boost circuit giving about 15 dB of gain on either side. So you can set one for low gain, one for high, and you can also cascade them together to get some extra crunch going on. But it's not just a one-trick pony in that sense, because in the middle of the 2 circuits it also has this effects loop here. So we can put a pedal in the loop, we can boost into it, we can boost after it, or both, why not? And we can use it to solve a whole host of problems, especially when it comes to using vintage pedals. But before we dive into the loop, I'm just going to have a look at some of the very basic sounds in the More. So my clean sound today is this. So just using one side of the More with the gain all the way down, it adds a little bit of boost and a little bit of compression, but more than anything it just kind of acts as a really lovely clean buffer. So it adds a really lovely clarity and definition to the high end. And it really is worth its weight in gold for that function alone. But of course we can then begin to turn the gain up using these little blue controls in the middle of the hex nut, so we can just slacken them off, adjust them with a screwdriver or the plectrum or your thumbnail, and then bolt it down so that you're never going to move it with your foot when you're on stage. So we can get some really great boost sounds out of just one side of this pedal. So as with any kind of clean boost pedal, the sound of the More is actually going to be very dependent on what amps you're running into, because all it's really doing is offering a really clean push into the front of your amp, and that push is saturating the preamp and the power amp tubes of your amps. So it's an absolutely fantastic booster for that function alone. But of course we can then set one side to be low gain and the other to high, and foot switch between them, and then cascade the two together so we can get a third level of gain out of the 2 sides. So what I like to do is turn the level of the blue side all the way down and run the level of the pink side about halfway up, and then I can boost into the blue side to get some gain, but use the blue side to bring the gain, the overall output level down to about unity. So we're not absolutely slamming the amps, but we are getting that kind of extra compression, and it works so well as just that. It boosts the level, but it also adds a really lovely smoothing effect of compression to your sound. So that's how I like to use this pedal on my board more than anything else. So, as I said, that's how I like to use the pedal. I like to run one side into the other to get a bit of compression going on and get that sort of buffering effect happening, but not absolutely pound the amps with the full force. But as I said, you can cascade the two sides together to get some really serious gain going on, just like this. So you can use it as a real screaming distortion pedal if you want to, but for me the real magic is keeping both sides on but having the gain just kind of about halfway up, because the way they cascade together is such a lovely thing for the tone. So as I said, that's kind of the deceivingly simple part of this pedal, but let's dive into the effects loop and see what we can do with that. So this is a really practical use for the effects loop in the Moore. Over here I've got my 1978 Electric Mistress, which if you've never tried one of these boxes, just find one and give it a go. It's a bizarre feat of ridiculous over-engineering, but the effect is just magic. But these old Electric Mistresses, and vintage modulation pedals in general, but this one especially, did have a slight issue with it, which is when you kick it on, you get a huge volume drop, like so. So if you're using this in the studio, it's not really a problem, you just turn your amps up a bit when you use this effect. But live, if you kick the Mistress on, your entire live sound would just fall through the floor and no one could hear you. But using the Moore, we can solve that problem very, very easily. We can use our bypass sound, and then when we want to turn the Mistress on, we can turn on the output boost. And the problem is completely solved. Plus, we can then boost into the front end of the Mistress to get some drive going on, and we are very much in the 70s and 80s. So that completely solves that issue. If you want to use your Electric Mistress live, put it in a loop of a Moore. Here's another way that we can use the effects loop of the Moore as a bit of a Swiss Army knife to solve a couple of issues with a different vintage modulation pedal. This is a Boss CE1 Chorus Ensemble from 1982, and I've spoken about this in videos before. If you want to check it out in more detail, there should be a link up there now. But the CE1 was designed to receive a low impedance line level signal from a keyboard. So when we put a high impedance signal from a guitar directly into the front end, the low value input pot here takes off all the high end, so it will sound quite dull. So what we need to do to solve that is to give the CE1 a buffered signal. So by running the pink side of the Moore with the gain all the way down, it just acts as a really good, slightly boosted clean buffer, and all our high end will come back. So we're not really getting much of a level boost there. All we're doing is dropping the impedance of the guitar signal so that it will work with the CE1. Now, that input pot in the CE1 is responsible for the overall level of the effect. And let's say we now want to take the sound of our CE1 and boost it. So we're going to use it as a solo boost, and we want to get a volume level bump. Now, if we turn that level control up, what will happen is you'll see this light here lighting up as we clip the input. So it won't really get much louder, it will just get more distorted. So there's not a huge amount of extra level there, it's just smashing that input to pieces, and it's a really cool distortion sound, but it's not a level boost. So we're now going to take our buffered CE1 sound here and use the second side of the Moore to act as a level boost. So there we go, we have our lovely, bright, defined sound of the CE1 by giving it a buffered signal, and then we can boost the output without touching that preamp and making it distort, and we can smash it into the amps, we can get the amps cooking, and keep the fidelity there without getting too much distortion. So let's have a play with a little bit of gain now. Here I have a Marshall Bluesbreaker overdrive pedal, and as you'll see, the gain and the volume here, they're not quite up full, but they're getting there. So it's a fairly low gain overdrive pedal this, and in terms of its output level, it's above Unity, but not by much. But it does sound awesome. So I want to use it. So how can we get some more gain and some more level out of a pedal such as this? Well, if we boost into the front end of the Bluesbreaker, we can increase the gain by driving the signal harder through the clipping circuit. But as you'll hear, the output level, doesn't really go up, because all we're doing is pushing the signal harder into the clipping circuit and getting more drive. But using the second side of the Moore, we can then get a level boost coming out of the Bluesbreaker. And if you want level and gain, we just use both. So we can massively increase the flexibility of our Marshall Bluesbreaker by running it in the effects loop of the Moore. So as a final bit of fun here, let's have an experiment with some fuzz. Now this is a Williams Audio Professional Mark II Tonebender replica, and it just sounds awesome. But my favourite thing to do with a fuzz such as this is to roll the guitar's volume pretty much all the way back, so that it just acts as a kind of really clean, sparkly, spanky buffer. But by doing that, we do get a big level drop, so let's bring it back. Now, fuzzers such as this like to have a direct connection with the guitar. They don't like to see a buffered low impedance signal. If they do see that, then it can make them go a bit loopy. They can get really bright and just kind of fold in on themselves. So as a last little experiment, let's turn on the other side of the Moore and see what happens to the fuzz. So there we are guys, the Moore from Matt Gleeson at Monty's Guitars in London. What did you think? Would you use this on your board? What would you use it for? Did you like the loop function? Did you like the sound of the boost? Let me know in the comments underneath. I do love reading your comments and talking nerdy guitar things with you guys. So yeah, thank you for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do hit the big subscribe icon over there. It really, really does help me when you do that. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.